Welcome to News Now Alberta. This is Special Ed. Well, today we're looking at a man who froze to death in a jail.
Man froze to death, mentally ill. Put up the pictures. Oh, one of the worst stories you'll hear. According to the lawsuit, a mentally ill, incarcerated individual froze to death in an Alabama jail. 33 years of age. His name was Anthony Mitchell. Anthony Mitchell alarmed his cousin when he showed up at his house on January 13th, haggard and emaciated. He was a little out of it, okay? Mitchell was acting unstable, he says, insisting he must enter a portal to hell in his mother's attic to retrieve the body of his long ago stillborn brother. He's having a tough time. After 911 call, Mitchell was picked up by the Walker County Sheriff's deputies who claimed he fired a gun at them and ran into the woods. Mitchell, who had a history of addiction, spiraled out of control in the months after his father's death, taking drugs again and experiencing mental health problems. The sheriff's office spokesperson, according to the lawsuit, told the family they'd get him medical help in Walker County Jail. Instead, what happened? Guards tased him.
So these guys said they would get him help. He's severely mentally ill. He's going down a rabbit hole. He is lost. And these guys say they will help him.
They tased Mitchell. They locked him up in a freezer, killing him. The suit alleges. The suit filed Monday also contends jail leadership began a cover-up of Mitchell's death hours before he died. This case, the suit says, therefore presents an appalling question. How does a man literally freeze to death while being incarcerated in a modern climate-controlled jail in the custody and care of correction officers? The lawsuit alleges the abuse and medical neglect Mitchell experienced at the hands of Sheriff Nick Smith and 13 staff members at the county jail, including corrections officers, nurses, and an investigator, was filed Monday in federal court in the Northern District of Alabama by Margaret Mitchell, who is Mitchell's mother and the administrator of his estate. A former deputy also filed a separate but related lawsuit on Monday in federal court in Alabama's Northern District. Former corrections officer Karen Kelly sued the Walker County Sheriff's Office and multiple cops for being fired and or for retaliation after she shared videos of Mitchell's family of him being abused in the jail.
So they basically fired a jailer for trying to do the right thing. Now that's part of their cover-up.
So you have a righteous actor, somebody that could not deal with the corruption. She literally becomes a whistleblower, advocates for justice. She gets retaliated against. Put up the picture. The suit says that Mitchell was put in isolation, not meant to hold inmates. What in the hell does that mean? Isolation, not meant to hold inmates, is what she said. In the booking area of the Walker County Jail, where he was left for most of the 14 days before his death and not given medical treatment.
So what they're basically saying is that they locked him naked in a freezer.
The room had cement floors with a drain, but no bed and no toilet. He was left naked, possibly because of the jail's, and I quote, suicide watch policy. He was taken to the hospital. Jail incident reports from January 26, viewed by Kelly, states 2 officers Braxton Key, and Jacob Smith found Mitchell unresponsive at feeding time around 4 a.m. The family's suit alleges he had been left for hours in a restraint chair in a jail freezer before the officers found him. The jail kitchen typically opens at 3 a.m., and Mitchell was not taken to the hospital until 8:30 a.m. Let's put up the still shots that we have. Look at that. At 8:30 a.m., officers removed Mr. Mitchell from his cell into a wheelchair, which he fell out of. His body made slow and spasmodic movements. Let's go to the next. 4 deputies then carried Mitchell out to an SUV. They placed him on the ground, allowing his head to rest on the concrete. In the video, he appeared unconscious. Officers then lifted him into the vehicle and drove him to the medical center.
Now, this was 5.5 hours after they found him.
By the time they reached the hospital, Mitchell was breathing with difficulty, and deputies did not tell hospital staff Mitchell had been put in a damn freezer. Mitchell was cold to the touch when he arrived to the ER. Learning that Tony was hypothermic caused physicians to immediately change their course of treatment, as the measures they had initially employed were inappropriate to resuscitate a person who is severely hypothermic, the suit stated. After 3 hours of trying to save Mitchell, he was pronounced dead at 1:15 p.m. Basically, the family is saying, listen, if you would have told the truth upon arrival, the medical staff could have tried to actually help him based on that information, and it may have worked.
So if the sheriffs would have admitted to what they did, this man could still be alive.
Put up the picture of the sheriff. That's old Nick Smith. All right, Nick here, and communications officer TJ Armstrong gave a statement after CBS 42 reported on the family's story, saying, and I quote, "The inmate was alert and conscious when he left the facility and arrived at the hospital." Damn lie. Damn lie. We have the video to prove it. The Alabama Enforcement Agency is now investigating the death. Additional abusive behavior, sheriff, at your facility.
So this sheriff lies by telling the media that this man walked himself into the cruiser to go to the hospital.
What you looking at? You're looking at jail staff. This was captured on security video. Guards dragging Mitchell out of a shower room as he lied naked on the ground. That's abuse. Next picture. January 15th, 2 days after he was taken to the jail, shows him being tased naked by a group of officers in the doorway of his isolation cell. Next picture. Mitchell relied on false teeth after years of drug use and lost his teeth as he was tased. Officer confiscated them, so an already out of it Mitchell was unable to chew food and went days without eating. The teeth were returned to Mitchell's mother after they killed him.
He couldn't eat food for several days. I've heard of less torture in POW camps.
Let me say this, Sheriff, and to your deputies. None of you are real men. You're cowards. I tell your mama you're a coward. You take a mentally ill individual who really just needs help. You told the family you were going to provide help. They believed you. You tortured them. You tortured him. Now, I don't think you all believed he would die. You're just depraved and evil. You cannot see the end of the beginning of your evil. It just plays out as it does. I don't believe this was the first man you have tortured in this way. I think there are many more. So what I have done, gentlemen, is I have forwarded this story directly to Senator Jon Ossoff, who's in charge of the Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations for the US Senate. I will expect a response from his office in the next few days. Shame on every single one of you. Sharing thoughts here.
Senator Ossoff, I believe, will respond, and I hope that it is with power and swiftness, Dr. Richey. These are sick, pathetic demons.
Yeah.
Sick, pathetic demons who work in concert. You're right, okay? I think you're a genius, but you don't have to be to know that it wasn't their first time doing this kind of filth. They cannot exist among the rest of us. They've got to be neutralized in some way.
There was one cop, one sheriff right here in Georgia. He saw a deputy commit a crime. He arrested that deputy within hours, put that deputy basically in the same cell that he was regulating as an officer hours before. That's called justice. That's how you do it. And that's how you transform a culture of corruption like this. You hold people accountable.
The sheriff and his cronies should be put in the same jail that they're taking care of. They should be put with the prisoners that they torture. That's the justice that they need. Not surprising that after this came out, when they looked into the jail itself, they found a lot of complaints from inmates about the jailers and the sheriff doing this kind of stuff. Now, they know the whole story now because this was just off of videos and everything. They know the whole story now because the sheriff and the jailers pleaded guilty to what they did. They pleaded guilty to the death of this man. Now, I can't seem to find what they got, how many years they got, and I can't seem to find how the lawsuit is going. I don't really care about the lawsuit because the guy is dead. There's nothing that's going to bring him back. But I care that these officers have to go to jail. What do you think of this? Let me know in the comments. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.